Is this what you want your base to look like? Boom. Welcome back. If you are confused with the Arknights Endfield AIC system, just like me 3 days ago, and you're wondering, how the hell is this random ass free-to-play guy able to produce gold gears in a span of 3 days? You have came to the right video. This is going to be my first series of guides that will be coming out in Arknights Endfield on our main channel. It is less so of a guide. I wouldn't really call this a guide, but more so of like a walkthrough, right? Step-by-step walkthrough. If you are like, if you want to just turn off your brain, play this video in the background. I want to use this opportunity to like, not just say, okay, here is the code, copy the code, paste the code, thank you, have a nice day, and then the video ends in 5 seconds. It is a more so everything in between, right? On the other hand, on my other channel, like Pokke Corp, I'll be making dedicated, like super dedicated videos. Specifically, I guess at this point, it is gonna be for the AIC, as well as the combat. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, Arknights Endfield is probably one of the first gacha game I've ever witnessed that within the first 3 days of the game's launch, nobody's talking about the combat. Or at least very little, right? Majority of the player base, they are way more interested when it comes to the AIC. Because the thing with Arknights Endfield is, without the AIC, you would literally be homeless. As in, you cannot play this game without AIC. It is not a topic for discussion. It is not like, okay, can I just skip the base building process? Can I just farm traces, right? I don't want to care about the materials. I don't want to care about like the turrets. I just want to play the combat. It doesn't work that way. You have to play this game's AIC. Whether you like or hate it, you just have to play it. So if you really cannot stand having this in your gacha game, it is completely understandable to walk away. Because this thing is not going to go, it's not going to go anywhere, right? And if anything, the way that they have structured this so far is that I believe that they're going to make this even more developed when it comes out in the future. So for example, right, so this is going to be one of the cases where I showcase the number of pools in which you are going to be getting as a free-to-play, right? You are definitely going to be guaranteed 120 limited pools. And if you are going to be something like, if you really don't want to play the factory, right? It is a torture. It physically hurts you from playing AIC. Legitimately, there's no point playing this game. I swear. I don't think you need to force it. Like, even if you could remedy your thoughts and processes for AIC with like a blueprint, because it's just your own pace, if you find no joy, and every single time when something comes up and you want to change or edit anything, but it is like a chore, you will eventually one day burn out. And if that is going to be the case, and you cannot get into the system, nothing wrong with it. It is completely fine to not like AIC. I think it's very, because I hated this system so much since CBT. And finally, after so long, I have begun to understand the beauty of the system. So that is our disclaimer. That is our context. And with that being established, it is time to go in. Why AIC? Alright, you need to understand what is the objective of this entire Arknights Endfield PAC, core PAC, the regional, why are you doing the outposts, why are stuff? Because everything sort of comes into a singular point. And it is a very straightforward. Money. Yep. AIC's pretty much the #1 feature is money. It's capitalism. That is the pretty much 80% of like why you will want to min-max your AIC is with the sole purpose of this currency you see at the top of my head right now, the Valley Stock Build. Or if you are going to be going into Wuling, it will be known as the Wuling Stock Build. The objective of AIC is to get yourself Valley Stock Build. That's it. Everything else is the byproduct. every other step along the way is like how much more efficient can you provide value stock bill. It is like, for example, would you rather earn $10 an hour as like a part-timer picking fries, or would you rather earn $1,000 an hour being like a doctor or a lawyer or like a additional like industry professional, right? That is like kind of like how this just is. And the reason why I say this, right, is because the fundamental system of your setup is to come into a singular endpoint. And this will be the same for every single one of your bases by the time you play this game long enough. Right, that is the future of the AIC. It will come into a singular stop point. In this case, for example, this is the one of the highest quality product that you can produce as of this moment. You can see from the purple. The other one is gonna be the battery, right? Which is gonna be from this. I don't want to overwhelm y'all with like too many different terms, because that was probably one of the reasons why I couldn't get into it, because there were just so many things. So I want to keep things as simple as possible, right? To dumb it down as much as I can. The reason why you want to make money is so that you can provide your regional outposts, right? You want to level up your outpost prosperity as high as you can for all of your different sub-bases. So basically all these are like the developing countries. If you yourself was like a... I don't know. Like, if you yourself was like a master race, right? If you are like the developed nation, and then all these countries needs help providing their villagers. They're literally living in the slums, right? And then you have to defend them from the Agrolites, and you have to give them technology and medicine and food. You will then sell them your products. All right. So for example, right here, I think this is going to be a pretty good example. You will sell them your bug capsules in exchange for money. All right, so this will be in exchange for money. You will then get this money after selling it to them. So it will give you your outpost prosperity, a little bit of them bonus depending on the age or whatever, as well as money. Yep, that's it. So eventually, the goal of having AIC in Arknights Endfield is to generate as much money as humanly possible so that you are filthy fucking rich. At this point, we are only at level 2, but as your level goes up, and if they were to introduce more and more money, and if your production process becomes more and more efficient, you won't just produce, like for example in this case, you won't just produce 6 per minute. You'll probably produce like 12 per minute, 18 per minute, 100 per minute in the future. Who knows, right? So the more this thing scales, the more money you earn, and the more money you earn, the more you then have the opportunity to get access to a lot of these things over here, right? So for example, you can pretty much, I can see, like after you play this game long enough, you can kind of just clear the entire stock from a single day of money. Right now, everything here is so expensive. There's no way you buy any of these, but eventually your AIC will be so developed that I'm pretty sure there will be a situation where you can just, oh, I have no concept of money. You clean out the entire shop. So all these will pretty much be given to you in a sense for free. And yes, that also includes summoning tickets. I'm not sure if I can. Yeah, so that also includes summoning tickets. That also includes your okay, this thing you don't really need to care about it that much, but it essentially makes your progression in the game a lot more efficient than someone that only spends stamina. Because you could say, yes, I can just spend my sanity, right? I could just spend my sanity. I'm just gonna go ahead and farm this. But farming in this game and spending your sanity is a very, very fast. Spending your sanity, which refills at a ridiculously slow pace, you don't really get that many out of it. So for example, for this one run for 80 sanity, you get 14. So if you can instead buy these straight from the shop by the power of money, it will literally save you your sanity, just like in real life, which is what makes Arknights Enfield's progression system unlike any others I've ever seen. Because the game legitimately ties the progression into the AIC. And the reason why it is all tied into one is with the power of money. So hopefully this step everybody at this point should understand this, right? There should be no questions. And with this understanding in mind, we can then go on into the next step, right? How do you earn as much money as humanly possible, right? So we understand the why. Here is the how. How do you earn money, right? So as of right now, in the process that we have, the two most efficient ways, number one is from your bug capsule, and number two is from your HC Valley battery. These two things. Because it is these two things in Dijiang, in the valley, that can be sold for the highest amount of profit. And if you were to take the exact same principle and you apply them to Wuling, Wuling is also gonna be having the same thing where if you come into my Wuling base over here, HC, high C is just like their grades. Don't worry about it, right? As long as the rarity is like purple, is like the one you're aiming for. Maybe in the future they'll probably introduce gold material class out of things, but it will always follow the exact same formula. So right now, if I were to go to Wuling, the LC Wuling battery. So you can see my yield for my LC Wuling battery is a lot lower compared to, for example, back in Dijiang, because Dijiang is like a much more developed place since it is like, you spend a lot more time there, whereas Wuling as a whole, the region is a lot smaller, right? So this is kind of not even making me much money because I'm literally using this to sustain my battery capacity. But eventually when I build more and more money, you can then expand your factory, right? So everything in this game eventually comes back down to, for example, right here, if I can just kindly bring your attention to this. All right, so using money will allow you to buy bigger offices, bigger landmass, bigger business space, so that if you have more space, you can then introduce more of your depot unloaders to then cook more materials, which will mean that your yield will go up, right? So once everything is gonna be in this loop, I will break this down into the objective you're aiming for in a singular example. I think for Wuling, we'll kind of just leave this for now, at least in this video, because I think majority of the players, if you are watching this, you probably haven't even reached Wuling yet, which is completely understandable, by the way, right? Most players should not be in like level 49 as a free-to-play, because you should have a life, right? So I'll keep this as simple as possible, because once you understand the core structure behind this, then it will fall into place, right? You will know what you're looking for, which means that you will know what to build for, and who knows, you might not even need a blueprint anymore. You might just be able to build your base with your bare hands with no help. I'm just kidding, right? If I can just kindly divert your attention over here, it's a lot. It is a hell of a lot, right? But the way that this game teaches you for the AIC is based on a first step, second step, third step, fourth step, fifth step basis, right? You first understand your materials. So all these are your raw materials. Step one, you will get them from the wild. How do you get them? You have to drag your power lines through the entire map. Yep, there's no shortcut, there's no blueprint. You physically have to go to, for example, if you just take it, you physically have to go to each and every single one of these nodes, dragging your power lines through every single one of these mining facilities to essentially get this as your step one. You have to do this. And the reason why you have to do this is because if your yield for your raw materials is not high enough, then your usage rate cannot keep up. I think this is like very, very fundamental. It's just like building a house, right? Without a strong foundation, there's nothing to build. Everything will just collapse. So the more natural resources you get from outside, which is pretty much done from your bare hands, then the more money you can make by converting these raw materials into the resources you can see over here, right? So this is the step one. Farming out your mining spots, getting your power lines everywhere, and also to increase the regional development, right? Because you can probably have seen some of the time when you will unlock a brand new mining spot, if you get one of the missions or whatever, this thing will go up. And the more this thing goes up, the more these mining materials, it's always the mines, right? The mineral purity, the more they will go up, which means you will get a higher yield for the same number of mines you will see in the overall. So those are for the mines. And then for the berries, right? These are free. I think this one is very, very straightforward, and the game already gave you a free blueprint, which is the one that you can just see for yourself, the bug flower blueprint, or i.e. the general plant farming blueprint, whatever it's gonna be, right? So the one that the game gives you is honestly completely fine. This is the one that we kind of make it a little bit more compact. So if you want, you can actually turn this around. So let me show you something very, very magical. So you can actually go ahead and do this. Move, rotate here. So it looks like this, right? And it just so happens that if you were to do this for the same thing, move, wait, that is not the thing. It'll cancel, move, select, you can actually make them fit like a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, but this one is honestly not that important. It's just like something that you can kind of just min-max yourself if you want to make your space as efficient as possible, right? So the one that the game gives you is completely fine, but it takes a lot of space. And space is something that you kind of have to trim it down a little bit. Okay, this one is fine because the land mass is very big, but other areas is like, it's very, very small. So you want to be as efficient with your space as possible. So the planting, it kind of just plays by itself. So as long as you give it the seed, it will just give more seed. Because one seed is 2 plant, and then 1 plant is 2 seed, and all it kind of just becomes as a U, and then you bring this back into the what you call that? Protocol stash, right? So everything will go back in your inventory, and then once it's maxed out, you don't have to worry about it anymore. So those 2 things are your step 1, your minerals and your plant, right? So once you have your minerals and your plant, you will then take them to the next step. So this one can honestly be kind of ending. So for example, this is your refining unit. And then this is your shredding unit. So both of these are like the step 2 to transform your raw materials into the next product, which will then be processed into the next product, into the next product, into the next product. So from step 2 all the way through up until like the final step, it is almost the exact same. You are essentially taking a singular material to bring them into the more advanced material. So if you follow this step by step, you can see why yield is very, very important. And you would definitely need to have as many of these spots open up as possible so that your productions won't get cucked, right? So I'm just going to skip through this because honestly, you don't really need to learn, right? So this gives you this, right? And then this gives you this, right? It is basically just for the blueprint. Don't have to worry about it. If you want to blueprint your all kinds of stuff, it is the exact same thing. Then eventually, once you have developed enough of these materials, it will then funnel back into a singular point where everything comes together. For example, for this one, giving you the bug capsule A. So this is the one that will give you I think my yield for my bug capsule A is currently at 6 per minute. Yeah, it's currently at 6 per minute. There are more or less efficient yields depending on the layout you're going to be doing. So there are bug capsules per minute yields that can give you like 3 per minute. Some will give you 12 per minute, 18 per minute. It really just depends on like how the actual structure is like, but the fundamental baseline is the exact same. For those kind of like min-max, so like if you were to think of like Honkai Star Rail Zero Cycle as like the elitist, in Arknights Endfield, the definition of a zero cycle will be how do you make these endgame products as efficiently as possible. Because you'll be using the exact same number of raw materials, right? You'll use the exact same, but how do you transform these yield to make this number as high as possible? So a real Arknights Endfield elitist, they probably have this like 20 by now, or like 24. I don't know, right? For me, I'm not by any means trying to pretend to be an expert. I am just a guy that's learned this as I go. But as of right now, my yield is going to be at 6 per minute, which is giving me like a decent-ish amount because I am making true progress towards the regional levels, which can then be upgraded to the rest of the stuff, right? So that is pretty much how this entire structure for producing essentially this singular item is going to be looking at for my core structure. Then these are going to be my additional plants, because for every single plant here, you should try to match up one plant there. It is the law of, what is Newton's? Is it Newton first or second law? I can't remember. Like for every input, there has to be an output. Because you can't farm plants in the open world, manual or rather automatically. Because open world, you have your mines, right? So plants, you actually have to have this so that you don't actually go down in your plant yield. So you can see from my bug berries right here, it's gonna be looking something like 130 to 124. And then my sand leaf is roughly the same. So you always want to try to make sure that you use slightly higher than the usage so that you can maintain this constant cycle. And eventually, this final product, your use should be as high as possible. So we have the bug capital A as well as the HC value. Now, the reason why HC value, this thing is getting used up, is because you need to power up your plants, right? I think this one, you guys have probably asked before, which is the barrier, right? The power. Different powers will give you different rate of charge. So right now, this thingy, we are essentially feeding like this blue battery, which I have another farm on another island producing the blue batteries. And you can see that it's not even coming out because it's so slow since I only made one. But I don't need this to be extremely fast because my power is more than sufficient. So the rest of my power or thermal power, okay, by the way, I made this myself, by the way. Yep. This is your streamer's contribution. So essentially, I call this the power bank. You can kind of just min-max and everything just goes on to like one entire layer and just keep adding on all that kind of stuff. But don't worry about it. So the reason why this is going to be really important is because if your power output is too low, it means that you are inefficiently converting energy using the raw materials. So you can see that this is really bad. It's one of this for 50 power, whereas if you were to use a purple, it's literally 1,600. This is from your Wuling, and then this is from your Dijiang, right? So they get a lot more efficient, which would then make your entire facility AIC run more efficiently for the power you're going to be able to provide, right? So at this point, if you guys have any questions, I will see you guys in Pokecorp. Because I don't want to over-explain too much, but just know that your main goal is making this. That's it. And you kind of just repeat this for every single one of the other bases. And ideally, because right now we have 6 bases, right? All 6 of your bases should eventually get to the point when they are producing the endgame product. Now, I wouldn't say that will be what it looks like now, because some of your regional development, you actually cannot sell them purple gears. So for example, right now, my level 10 slot here, we can actually sell purple gears, right? We can actually sell purple gears, which is great. But for example, if I were to go to my embers slot over here, I actually cannot sell purple. I can only sell greens or like whatever the fuck this is. So I need to slowly raise up their level until this thing becomes a level 2 and level 3. Then I can unlock more slots. So don't think of this as like the end all be all, because different parts of the AIC at different parts of your regional development will require different things. But the fundamental concept is the exact same. You will run this for every single one of your base with the core purpose being making money. So that is going to be that. Now, there is a second part that I kind of want to just touch on. Okay. In Arknights Endfield, your gold gears are the end all be all. And the moment you are able to access your gold gears, you will essentially have 0 purpose for everything else that is not gold gear anymore. That's how the game system works. Which is why I personally just refuse to invest in like blues or even purples. Because I wanted to speedrun the gold gear as fast as humanly possible. And I know this is probably maybe more uncomfortable, because you guys have seen my playthrough as a free-to-play, especially day 2 and day 3 when we're fighting the story bosses. I was getting destroyed, bro. Like, even though my unit's level was level 60 and the boss level was level 60, I was literally running level 36 gears. Half of my units had 0 gears because I just refused to make gears. Which honestly, I'm just torturing myself, because it doesn't really take you a lot, right? You can see that they literally use different materials, right? So you have no big impact, but the one thing that you do save is once again money. Your streamer is just so fucking stingy with money. I just refuse to spend money, which is why I didn't even bother with the blues or even the purples. You can say this is 9.6k, guys, which honestly it was not to add up. All right, this was not to add up. So I just immediately skipped all that and slammed straight into the gold gear, which I currently have my level 10 equipping day 3, or rather at this point day 4. as a free-to-play, as well as my full set for Ardalia, full gold gear. So your question at this point, how the hell is a free-to-play player able to achieve this? This one, it will obviously require you to get a Wuling, but the concept for gear farming, it is almost the exact same as the concept for making money. So if I can just divert your attention to this right here again, right? It is the same. It's just that for our facilities here, it looks a little bit more complex. Don't worry about it. Raw materials, you let them process, and on a step-by-step basis, you can then essentially bring into... This is for this city's... I'm not really sure how do you call this, but basically you need Zyronite to make your... to make everything. You need Zyronite in Xianzhou, in Wuling for almost every single thing in the world. So I have like 10,000. So this is strictly just for Zyronite. If you guys want to see the Zyronite, you can check out that. But the end product for this right here is going to be your gearing unit. So everything will eventually come into this gearing unit. This is the final product you're looking for. And then it will then once again be stashed back into the protocol. And yes, we also have a gearing facility that integrates the Zyronite facility all into one, which I think is honestly pretty impressive. But once again, don't worry about it. But you can essentially use this exact same thought process to also make you purple gear or even blue gear if you need to, right? It is the same thought process. It is just that I skipped the entirety of like purples to jump straight into gold, and the moment I ascend my units to level 60, they can all be ran on gold gears, and then we're gonna be one big happy family. For this particular situation, as well as the fact that if you were to notice any of your things not at full efficiency, so for example, you can see that this is not moving. His EP. It is completely fine, by the way. At any point of time, if any of your machines are EP, it is because the speed for this is going to be coming out. It is going to be bottlenecked by something else. So you can't really fully fix this, especially in the early game, until you can actually match in a supply chain of material A and material B at the exact same pace. Then it will not be EB anymore. But generally speaking, from what we have in the game, it will always be EB, because we simply do not have the technology to materialize both products at the same pace to be given into the final product. So it is going to be fine, which also is the reason why you'll notice how your energy consumption, sometimes it becomes very low, sometimes it might just shoot up for like random reasons, because your machines are not fully efficient, but it's okay. So don't worry about it. And I think at this point, okay, I'll probably end off this video right here by kind of just showing you guys what my current setup looks like, which, once again, I'm not saying that I have the best base, because I definitely do not have the best base, but I think so far it's being pretty nice, especially as someone that has been trying to do everything 24/7, non-stop, combat, story, side mission. There's still a creator thing that we haven't even played yet, making guys, Pokecorp. So this is basically what I have at this moment. You kind of just use this for your reference, and my final objective for all 6 of my bases, right? So for Wuling, since we're here, my Wuling base has 2 Forge of the Sky, and you can pretty much only have 2 Forge of the Sky because this fucking ass game, does not allow you to build more than the max limit of the Forge of the Sky. So you literally cannot have more of this, even if you wanted to. Maybe there will be more upgrades like this going forward in the future, but as of right now, it ain't what I have. So we have one setup building from the water right here, funneling into one, and then the other chain of water, we push this all the way back in for our second forge, and this is the one that will eventually be finding up into here, where we're gonna be making our gold gear, right? So this is gonna be my base 1. For my base 2, it is gonna look something like this. Okay, this is my base 2. So my base 2 process is essentially everything building into a single purple unit. Remember what I said at the start? The only thing that you need to give a shit about is this thing right here. Because it is for what? It is for money. So it is the exact same thought process you're going to be finding in Valley and Dijiang. So we are essentially building the purple version of this battery to eventually sell this to the logos to make more money. So this is my sub base for my Wuling. And then the ones on top, they're just seats, which I honestly could just paint them a little bit nicer, but I was just too fucking lazy. Just to keep our seat facilities at a baseline in which it doesn't overconsume, right? So you always want to check out your yield. As long as you notice at any point, if your usage is too high and it goes beyond your yield, you need to fix it. So the moment you see your yellow being more than your blue, then just add more seats, right? So very, very easy fix. That's going to be pretty much it for my second base. Then now we can go back into my other 4 bases in Valley. I can just go into the core AIC, kind of explain what this is. Frankly speaking, I think this one, we have already talked about it for a little bit. So this is going to be my core AIC base in base 1 for, okay, it looks fucking ridiculous. But it is gonna be our 6 per minute buck capsule A production. Yep, that is all there is. So the entire purpose of this chain is to make buck pixel A so that we can sell it to the locals. Then the ones on top is just more plants. And then this one is my power bank. Very, very simple, very, very straightforward. And then my second base, which is gonna be seen from the valley right here. This is going to be our facility in which we are making our second purple item, which is basically the Dijiang version, the valley version of the Wuling battery. So this is gonna be our purple battery. So I have one over here, also at full production. Rest of the space, not using, don't worry about it. Didn't even do anything else. If you need more plants, if you wanna have like spare materials, you could just use this to make a little bit more. So for example, if you wanted at any point of time, if let's just say like you wanted more of this, or you wanted more of this, right? Because this you can see is a little bit low, but I'm not using any at all, so I didn't really care. But at any point, if you want a little bit more, just feel free to add on to whatever you need from your current point over here so that you can extend out, right? The baseline over here is always going to be this. Then whatever you need can make it over there, right? So that is going to be my second base. Then for my third base, it is going to be in the Origium Science Park over here. So this third base is a little bit scuffed because I can only make plants. I would eventually pivot this into making purple batteries, but I want to save up my money to have more space such that eventually, oh my god, stop. Such that eventually, when I unlock the landmass, I can afford to fit the gearing things, the purple setup, into the landmass here. So I wanted to wait a little bit more for my expansion. It's just that the place is literally too fucking small. So for example, right, if I were to just try this right now, you can see that, for example, right, okay, let's just say this, right. I literally cannot fit this into the fucking land because it's too fucking fat. So I just wanted to save up a little bit more money, where after I get the land max expansion, then I can just straight away dump everything all into one. And the second reason why I didn't overextend myself is also because if your yield is not high enough, alright? Because I know my yield right now is fully maxed out. If I try to make more batteries, it will then exceed my yield. Because these are from your natural materials. Because there are still some mining spots I haven't uncovered. So if I were to just add on these things, it is not even going to be sustainable anyways. So there isn't any point of trying to overexert beyond what your current facilities can support, right? So that is going to be like my future plan. As of right now, I don't really think I need anything until I just unlock more mining spots so that I can increase my yield for my raw materials. Then I can make more of those batteries in the future, right? So this is gonna be for my science part. And then one last base is going to be the power Purdue. Okay, the power Purdue over here, it is a minier version of the facility that I had, which is the purple battery. But instead of making a purple battery, I'm making the blue battery. Yep, because like I mentioned, some of the regional stuffs, you cannot even sell purple berries yet unless you level them up. So temporarily speaking, I'm only going to be producing the blues, also helping me to funnel my energy a little bit. And then at the side, I have a little bit more of the plants just to make sure that they're going to be sustainable. And those are going to be all 6 of my AIC bases from Dijiang all the way to Wuling. And with that, I can pretty much also come into the end of this video over here. Before I go, I'll leave you guys with a present. If we have 1,000 likes on this video, I will pin the blueprints in the top of the comment section. Let me know what questions y'all have. If you guys want any additional tips and tricks, join our Discord, because I'm gonna be completely thankful over here. This was not possible without my team of Arknights factorial simulation elites. So essentially how your streamer manager learn this much is because I literally have an entire group, not even in my main Discord by the way. I have a secret Discord channel. There's only I think 5 or 6 of us, and they're all factorial mates. And they all play Endfield. So I have basically been one of these individuals. You might have seen, for example, Mr. Brett, right? Bro called me to correct my fucking maze. I learned all this from them, right? And we were like sharing the blueprints. We were preparing at the power levels. How the hell do we progress? Like absolute the 5 to 6 min-max ego 4-piece elitists. And then your streamer is the casual. So I'm all these things I said over here. It is taught to me. It is taught to me, and that's what genuinely, yo, add some emotional music. That's what makes Arknights Endfield feel so like this. Hold up. Should I split it down? Oh, it's not down. Oh, it's going really slow. Oh, moving the AIC core? Yeah, you do this. Did you know in Arknights Endfield, you can move your AIC core by simply pressing and holding? Subscribe for more Arknights Endfield tips and tricks. I think it's moments like this that make me remember what makes games so fun. Because you have this group of people. It could be you, it could be me, it could be your mom, it could be your dad. But like, we just tune out from everything else and we talk and learn and grow as a community. And 4th Master is instigating once again. I am going to go birthday festival. But as I was saying, yes, I do miss times when a game's launch that is literally changes my sleep schedule for my past 4 days because I'm so fucking addicted to this game. And we can just tune out of everything and just sit here and slam Arknights Endfield. That's what makes the game fun. And that's what makes the game. I'm gonna say this quote that has been quoted a lot of times. You guys might have heard of this quote before. Arknights Endfield feels like a game first, gacha second. Yep, I'm gonna use your own words against y'all, right? Let me know what you guys think, thoughts in the comments below. Looking forward to more progression. Now I'm gonna be going to play some Gunner games and learning a little bit more of a combat as I destroy 4 Mars in the tournament. Word of the day is gonna be game first, gacha second. Join this, join Discord, join this. If this video was helpful, join our Discord. We have an elite Arknights Endfield specialist, special ops SEAL Team 6 task force to zero cycle all of your AIC questions. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.